My co-host today is Ned Stoller. Ned, did you want to say anything?
I'll do my introduction when you're done with yours.
Okay, great. Hey, so appreciate everybody's time today and appreciate the audience and opportunity. We see today as a great opportunity, I think, between Ned and I to really collaborate and get just joined on some of the discussions when it comes to heroes to hives and other opportunities with adaptive beekeeping ideas and really just synergize the entire forum where we can really just have a community where we can discuss ideas and knowledge and get after some solutions. So the intent today is really just to create that synergy amongst ourselves and then move forward maybe with more specific discussions on areas to get after a specific adaptive technology or specific issues that we want to address. So appreciate everybody's time. A little bit of background. So this is hosted by the National AgrAbility Project. So the National AgrAbility Project is a USDA NIFA grant funded project with Purdue as the land grant university. And the mission is to enhance the quality of life of farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers with disabilities so that they and their families and their communities can continue to succeed. It began in like 1990, quite a bit a while ago, with the 1990 Farm Bill. And then in 2014, it expanded to include special populations, and those were identified with African American, Native American, Hispanic, Latino, and then veteran farmers as well. So that's really kind of the niche where AgrAbility is at. I'm a veteran myself. Actually, I am a veteran, but I'll be a retired veteran in about 30 days. Um, and that's kind of my specialty. I'm a novice beekeeper, but Heroes to Hives program is helping me become a better beekeeper. Thank you, Adam, for that. Um, so really, there's a lot of touch points I think that we all want to synergize when it comes to beekeeping, and we hope that this forum really gets after that. I'll turn it over to Ned, and then after Ned's done, I'll kind of go through just a little bit of the rules of engagement and how we'll continue the forum. So go ahead, Ned.
I'm Ned Stoller with Michigan AgrAbility, and I've been doing assistive technology for farmers since 1998. And I started out down in Indiana and moved to Michigan after 3 years. I'm an agricultural engineer, and I go to farms and ranches and apiaries all around the state of Michigan when someone has an injury or illness and they're trying to figure out how to keep working and learn what their medical conditions are, what their abilities are and aren't, and then what critical tasks need to be accomplished. And then we uh, try to research what types of equipment are already available that might enable someone to do that task. So that's what assistive technology is. Tori can probably speak to that as well. But any tool or method, um, even a concept of a different way to do something to enable a person with a disability to accomplish their necessary task. So that's really my specialty is assistive technology. And I've been learning about beekeeping and applying those principles to beekeeping for about 5 years since I first met Adam and Grail. And so that's my background. And I also represent the National AgrAbility Project when there's assistive technology questions that people have. So I've been learning that lots of different organizations and people are thinking about assistive technology for beekeepers, and a lot of people are working on the same thing at the same time. So that was the impetus of this conversation is let's bring this group of people together that's interested in accessible beekeeping so that we can all be on the same page and learn from each other and maybe divide and conquer, use our specialties and the strengths of each organization to improve the quality of life for beekeepers with disabilities all across the country and around the world. So that's my background, and I think that's the desire here today is to sort of hear the elevator speech of each one that has joined us, what your specialty is, what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what you might bring to the table with your organization regarding this topic of beekeeping with disabilities. Is that accurate, Joe?
You're smarter than me, Ned. Uh, So, hey, what I think we'll do next is we'll start going around so everybody can introduce themselves, have a little discussion. And I would ask, and I'll put an example in there for mine, is just a little couple sentence blurb with your contact information in the chat. And then I will cut and paste that out. And that way we can start kind of an email string or a forum of discussion from it. So I'll ask Mr. Justin Ruger to go first. Justin?
Yeah, I'm Justin Ruger. I'm here in Virginia. I started beekeeping with my mother about 6 years ago, and since then I had a stroke that put me into a wheelchair, and I haven't been able to get back out to keep bees. And I was looking for resources to start beekeeping again, and I realized that there were really no resources for the general public. There are a lot of beekeeping resources for veterans, but not really anything for the general public. So I started Accessible Beekeeping, which is a nonprofit that just received its nonprofit status from the IRS last week. And my goal is to get grants and start experimental apiaries in different places across the country that people who have disabilities can go to and learn and see how they should set up their apiary to be successful for themselves.
Hey, thanks, Justin. That's awesome. And you
Yeah.
sell yourself short with that blogs you have. I've listened to many of your blogs and podcasts, and those are pretty cool. If anybody's interested, make sure you put your information in there, Justin, so people can grab onto the P-Chicks apiaries. The Blind Beekeeper was really an interesting podcast.
Sorry, I've been so busy with moving. Yeah, I started a podcast for beekeeping with disabilities, and I have beekeepers that have disabilities come on and talk about their disability and how they overcame. One of the most interesting, like Joe said, was the blind beekeeper in California. She actually uses the sights, or not the sights, sorry, the sounds and the smells to be able to keep bees. And she does have a partner that works with her for the big inspection of her hives, but mostly she's doing it by herself. And I've had people that have CMT come on who have cerebral palsy. So I'm starting to build this channel where people who think I have a disability and I can't do something can go listen to hopefully someone who has their same issue, their same disability, and say, okay, this person can be successful in beekeeping, so can I.
No, hey, thanks, Justin. Mr. Stebbin, are you joining us from Canada?
Yeah, hi there. How you doing? Yeah, I'm based in Toronto, Canada. My name is Matis Stebbin. I'm the founder of Beekeeping for Veterans. It's a wellness program that combines beekeeping with mindfulness practices. The way it works, a veteran signs up. We have an online course sponsored by the Canadian Honey Council on how to be a beekeeper. We have mentorship available also for them. And then once a week, a mindfulness video will go out to veterans with PTSD to help them deal with any of their mental health issues. In addition to that, we have a once a month get together where we talk about beekeeping, and we have a mindfulness mindfulness coach come in to give like a live mindfulness meditation. And in short, in summary, that's the program. I'm also a registered charity here in Canada and a registered 501c3 in the States as well. And we're in our first year here, and it's going pretty good so far.
No, that's awesome. I am very interested in what you do.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk more later if you'd like to, anyone. Yeah.
Awesome. Dr. Ingrail?
Yeah, hi everybody. Adam Ingrayo here. I am the founder of the Heroes to Hives program, which is the nation's largest beekeeping education program for military veterans and their dependents. In the last 7 years, we've had just shy of 10,000 students go through the course. We're also partnered with the Great Plains Master Beekeeping course. So our students go on, basically the Heroes to Hives course counts as their apprenticeship level of the Master Beekeeping course, and they can transfer those courses over to the GPMB course that's run through University of Nebraska-Lincoln to get their master's certificate. In addition to doing that, I'm also an outreach specialist for Michigan Food and Farming Systems, where my primary audience is veterans. I'm an Army veteran myself, a disabled Army veteran, also a beekeeper and entomologist. I kind of run a lot of these different gamuts, and I've been working with Ned. I think Ned, I might have been the first beekeeper you ever worked with. And so since Ned and I started working together, we've really been focusing on trying to develop accessible technologies and recommendations for the veterans that go through the Heroes to Hives program. As part of our course, we have an AgrAbility lecture and AgrAbility workshop that's part of our course. So veterans getting exposed to a lot of these technologies. I think one of the areas that I'm very interested in from this group is the research to support these recommendations. This is all anecdotal evidence that we've been working with up until this point, and I think that it looks like we're hitting critical mass where it might be time to do some real research to really establish how we can help people with these recommendations.
Hey, thank you. Dr. Harper?
Hi, I'm Brock Harper. I'm at Purdue, formerly in Toronto. So nice to see you, Mattis. I've been at Purdue since 2019, and I have a research extension role, primary research, secondary extension. So I'm really here to learn how I can better provide to my stakeholders, offer additional training, and kind of rethink how I teach and work with beekeepers. I'm here to support these efforts in any way I can, whether that's grant writing or letters of support or offering a testing ground for anything that we come up with. I have an apiary of 200 colonies. We offer pretty regular stakeholder engagement events. We're pretty involved with the Indiana beekeepers and others. So yeah, I think that about covers it for me. Thanks for having me today.
No, awesome. Thanks for joining us. Ms. Gingras?
Hi, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. I am with the Assistive Technology of Alaska. We're the AT organization that partners with the Alaska AgrAbility project. And I'm here to just learn and gather resources and hopefully expand my knowledge on beekeeping that we could pass on for individuals up here. So thank you all for hosting this, and I'm excited to learn. And Baloo says hello as well.
Oh, nice. Tell Blue we said hi, and I wish I had Mike at it. Always relaxes me. Ms. Rodriguez?
Hello, everyone. I'm Betty Rodriguez. I'm working at North Carolina A&T State University as the North Carolina AgrAbility Partnership Manager. And I have been serving farmers with disabilities for the last 6 years. And I have seen a lot of interest on our beekeepers in North Carolina for assistive technology. I have been, relying on Ned for some assistance with the AT recommendations and things, but we're trying to pair with NC State University. The apiculturist there, a professor, and he is the North Carolina Master Beekeepers Association. He's been training them in beekeeping, but then we need the other component of habilitating people with disabilities to help them do beekeeping. So we are trying to put together a team and also to do some research about mostly about the benefits of beekeeping among veterans mostly. And we're planning to do we would like to be able to accommodate many apiaries here that are the North Carolina Master Beekeepers Association are working with. We have 100 counties in North Carolina, and there's 87 chapters here that have the Master Beekeeper program. So we want to support them and to support, you know, them be more open and inclusive to invite people with disabilities. So there's a lot of resources that we're needing, and we're trying to apply to different grants to be able to help the master gardener beekeepers and also the veterans, because we have several veteran groups in North Carolina, and one is with NC State, and there's many others that, you know, they're in need. So we're trying to do that. And so I'm so happy to be here in this group, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to learn a lot.
No, that's awesome. And thank you. And there's just a huge populations of veterans in North Carolina. I know that from experience. Ed Sheldon, Mr. Sheldon.
What's this Mr. stuff? Ed Sheldon, I'm on the NAP staff at Purdue. Don't know anything about beekeeping, but I do handle the 800 line for AgrAbility. So now I have a list of people I can refer folks to when they call with questions about beekeeping. So
You want to explain what NAP is, Ed?
Oh, I'm sorry, the National AgrAbility Project.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sweet. Mr. Steve Swain, I say Mr.
I'm like Ed, that this isn't formal. Steve Swain, I'm with the National Project and also the Indiana Project. When Ned went to Michigan, I slipped into his chair and been serving the farmers of Indiana. Have seen an increase in beekeeping, and I'm here to learn.
Thank you. Laura Iggerman.
Hi, I'm Laura Ackerman. I'm with Ohio AgrAbility. I'm the Disability Services Coordinator. And I have, over the past few years, been approached by a few people who are interested in beekeeping. And I think at least one of them was a veteran with a disability. And I believe I referred them to Cindy or Candace, one of you, probably Cindy, because the veteran coordinator. We also in Ohio have our extension coordinators. We have a few who are, extension educators who have some expertise in bees. So I just want to learn more so that I can be a good resource to refer someone to the bee experts. And back in the day, when I was a kid, my dad had several honeybee hives that we lived in the country, fortunately, because he didn't have a lot of control over them. And I got more than my fair share of stings, but they were still nice to have. So I'm just interested in seeing what there is so that I can be a good resource and refer people, because I think this is such a great opportunity.
Thank you. Cindy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Chastain, the Veteran Outreach Coordinator for the National AgrAbility Project. I work with, with several people on this call that are all involved with the NAP. And hi, Adam, how are you? I am a small farmer myself, a veteran myself. I've been with the National AgrAbility Project for maybe 8 or 9 years. Have a few beehives. Can't say I'm very good at beekeeping, so I need to get better. We had a part of the Beginning Farmer Project at Purdue a few years ago. We had a beekeeping workshop for veterans, and I had a wait list there were so many people that wanted to attend that we couldn't accommodate them all. So I'm looking for I want to do that again. And so the interest is out there with veterans, and we have to deal with the disability issues as well. So this is great, and I'm glad Joe and Ned are kind of working on this so we can get some disability resources for those veterans that want to raise bees.
Thank you. Candace Leathers?
Hi, I'm from the Colorado AgrAbility Project, and my coworker, Dr. James Craig, came back from national conference. Pretty excited about some of the ideas that were there regarding veterans. But for myself, one, I'm a big honey eater, and I think that's extremely important. So let's just make that clear first and foremost. But I was really looking for, I guess what Justin said really rang home to me. I've been working in the field of disabilities for about 45 years, and I'm always interested in finding ways to enhance employment outcomes for people with disabilities and to remove barriers for people who either real or for projected barriers that they may see. I've had a few individuals who have been interested in keeping bees and in production of honey. I've outreached to Ned before, and he's given me some advice, and that's been helpful. But I think the diversity of our farmers in looking at bees as a way to supplement things is really important. And I'd like to know enough to guide them to good resources and service providers. That would be what would be ideal. I doubt that I'm going to become a good beekeeper, but I would like to be able to connect them with many of the individuals who have already introduced themselves today. And I'd like to have two streams, certainly our veteran component, and then a non-veteran group where resources and services and programs for people who may not have some of the deep financial resources that may be available for our veteran population. I'd like us to, I hope we would also look at that as well. Thank you.
Super, thank you. Garland sent a note that she had to walk away, but we have Karen Funkenbush on now. Karen, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how it relates to beekeeping, and then put your information in the chat so I can start a little group email on that. I appreciate it, ma'am.
Hi, Joe. Karen Funkenbush, University of Missouri. I have the privilege to be on a grant with Adam out of the University of Michigan. We're a part with Missouri is the first state chapter for the Heroes to Hives project. So Adam and I now have been meeting and working for almost maybe 2 years now, Adam, 3 years. So Adam and I have been very actively involved with the beekeeping here in Missouri. We specifically are working, first of all, with our veterans, and we have this veteran grant that we're doing that with. We also then have been for the last probably prior to meeting Adam, so maybe 4 years, 5 years, we've been looking at what Ned and I have been talking about, which is accessible beekeeping. What are we doing with our farmers and ranchers that fall under the umbrella of Missouri AgrAbility, or AgrAbility in particular, where we're looking at ways in which their farms to make them a little more accessible. That's how we got connected with Adam in the first place, to bring on our veteran farmers. And then so we've been actively involved in that. Right now we have 2 demonstration sites for veteran beekeeping with the guidelines and auspices of working directly with Adam. So we have a team that Adam has been working and guiding our teams. And so we have 2 teams set up, 2 research sites set up where we're working with Adam, and we're working specifically with the online portion of the education, which is what Adam is doing. And then Missouri, we run our own every month. What does beekeeping look like in Missouri? And then we have a two-pronged process with that. So we then do an educational piece for 2 hours, and then we do a boots on the ground where we offer it 2 times a month, where they come to the research sites, and then they get to do the hands-on. And most of them at that time are looking at what are the accessible pieces of equipment, again, based on guidance and direction from Adam, and then based on guidance and directions from our ag engineers here at Missouri, and then based on our 25 years of experience of working with beekeepers and AgrAbility, then we have our own equipment that we showcase. And then lastly, we are in the process right now of setting up a new site. When we went to the National AgrAbility Conference, we put in a bid and we won an apiary. And so we're super excited because in Southeast Missouri, again, it was brought to Adam's attention that in Southeast Missouri, which is our Boot Heel area, which is socially disadvantaged, underserved, minority. It is our individuals that we're working with are 1890. And so we're now putting in an operation down there. The community college down there gave us a whole wing to do education and outreach. They had moved away from their ag program. And so this just happened. Adam, what did it happen to us? Like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? We reached out to the president of this community college, and now they're going to start another ag education program. They had taken it away. And then the platform that they're going to start there will be bees. And they want to then resell that program specifically to veterans. And so we're now working with that. And that just became a new initiative within the last month. We're super excited. We're very glad to see that AgrAbility is willing to take on this initiative and come on board, because again, like I said, Adam has been doing this for a really long time, and we've been getting guidance from Adam, again, like for 3 to 5 years. So that's Missouri.
Thank you. Hey, Ned, did you get any ideas or anything you want to talk about so far?
Did you say something to me, Joe? If you did, I apologize.
No, I'm sorry. It was Ned, my co-host.
Okay.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for sharing. My initial thought is that there's several people that are here looking for resources, and I just wanted to make sure that Mattis and Adam and Justin and Karen and everybody, are you all okay with others reaching out to you to learn from your programs and be a resource for other states around and people
Sure.
from around the country?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
definitely interested in people reaching out. I did want to say one more thing. Brian Wentz and he's a professor at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. We're putting together a nationwide survey to try to get an idea for grants and other things about the number of disabilities in beekeepers. And that's going to go live May 1st until June 30th, and maybe push back depending on the initial number that we have. We have some businesses that have donated incentives. So Guardian Bee Apparel donated an entire bee jacket, and Hillco LLC, they donated a full hive setup, and Frank Mortimer, the author, he donated a signed copy of his book. So we're really putting together some incentives to get people to try to fill out this 15-minute survey that basically asks them, do you keep bees or not, or and what is your do you have a disability, and from the disability, does it hinder you in beekeeping, and then also what would make your beekeeping easier?
Hey, so Justin, how are you going to put that out to the community? Did you need our assistance? Do you want to include us, or what's your method of communication on that?
So what we did was, because they're using human subject research, I actually had to take a course through the university, which was long and too long, and so we put down the initial way that we were going to put the survey out there was through this community of interest. So we'll be able to send you, Joe, the link to the survey, and then you'll be able to send it out to everybody on the email list. and then everybody on the email list can send it out to their contacts. I'm also going to put together an email to the state and local beekeeping associations and send the link to everyone, hopefully everyone in the United States beekeeping associations, to get to their members as well. And then it's also going to be posted on the Accessible Beekeeping webpage. It's password blocked right now while we're still working on the survey. But as soon as the survey goes live on, I believe that would be Sunday, then we'll be able to start pushing out the survey.
Sweet, thank you. Karen, you got your hand raised?
Yes, I also wanted to mention that, Joe, where are you from? I mean, Justin, where are you from?
Culpeper, Virginia.
Okay, yeah, because, you know, we also did a survey. We did what are called table talks. So with our veterans, and so we did 3 table talks with our veterans, and then we've done 5 table talks. They're just like focus groups with our farmers with disabilities. And the top 3, Ned and Joe, that came up of need was beekeeping. And that was something, and so Adam and I have talked about that. And so that's where we did our survey, Justin. We went directly to the folks, for the people, by the people. We asked them what they wanted and needed. Beekeeping, not as a hobby, but as an occupation, came up. And so that is something that Adam and I continue to talk about. We currently are doing a holistic approach where it's also a research piece, where we're also looking at Tai Chi, especially with our veterans. That's something that, again, and I apologize that I keep saying Adam, but it's another part of the project that Adam and I are working with on our veteran project, the Heroes to Hives. So we're doing Tai Chi. We've been doing Tai Chi now. We gave out 40 scholarships, and within an hour, all 40 scholarships were taken by our veterans. Veteran beekeepers who very much wanted to do Tai Chi, and they're looking at it as a holistic approach. And we integrated that not only with AgrAbility, but we also integrated it with our Farmland Stress Grant, because as Adam has taught us, we have a lot of beekeepers that come to us with a lot of stress, anxiety, depression, brain injury, PTSD. So we need to get ways out there to not only teach them how to keep bees, but how do they take care of themselves. So that's an element that we've looked at. And then we're also working with our ag engineers, and we're also working with the Nebraska Med Center. So that would be Nebraska AgrAbility with their ag engineer. And so we're looking at the design elements, which is why Ned and I started talking. We're looking at some of the design elements that might be applicable for this specific population. Then how do we design tools? And then I am housed also in the Department of Occupational Therapy. So that's why Ned and I started talking about some things about how do we then design tools, and then how do we then look at the functionality and some of the reach and some of the other things that would be more applicable, that we could get help and guidance from our OT. And that's just the last piece that I wanted to bring up. And you spiked my attention, Justin, because you guys are doing some way cool stuff, way fun, cool stuff at your state too.
Thank you. And Justin, I don't know if you saw it in the chat, but Garland Mason is back, and she's from Blackburn, Virginia as well, which isn't too far away from you. If you don't get that, I'll give it to you later. Adam, I see your hands up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Justin, as you're putting this together also, if you need, other eyes or people to review or give any suggestions as you're putting together the survey from the veterans specific angle, I'd definitely be happy to talk to you about that. We've done a lot of surveys with our students, and we do evaluations all the time with our students. And one of the things that, as you're kind of putting the data together on this, there's a few pieces like within the veterans community that can be really valuable data points, like what is their VA disability rating, to get kind of more information from that specific demographic. I know you're looking kind of overall, but like working with Heroes to Hives, like the 10,000 students I would be sending that out to, they're all veterans for the most part. And there are some like unique questions that can be asked within those surveys to kind of delineate like needs within that specific population that sometimes are a little unique to the population itself. I know traumatic brain injury and PTS tend to be at much higher rates in our population than they are in other populations. So if you do, I mean, I'm just throwing my hat in there. If you need any assistance or another set of eyes, I'd be happy to serve as that for you.
Okay, I'll definitely talk to Brian Wentz. Maybe we can set up in the next few days a Zoom meeting or something where we could talk about the veteran side of it too, because he does have the ability to put in there, are you a veteran? And then if they say yes, ask just the specific veteran questions as well. The second thing I'm also working, the last thing that I have is I'm working with Wickwasp Press, and we're working on a book on beekeeping with disabilities that's going to have actual live transcripts and follow beekeepers along their journey with their disability, how they overcome. And we're going to do everything from the physical and the mental disabilities.
Hey, that's super, Justin. I've often been interested in a survey, and probably a future idea of mine is, the quality of life portion of that as well. There's a lot of presumptive benefits that I think are very quantitative if we're able to really get in that. I don't know if anybody else had any other thoughts on that, both for veterans and for people with disabilities.
I think that one of the outcomes of this whole conversation today is wanting to continue this conversation and the collaboration in maybe in a regular way going forward. I already am seeing a real synergy here where some of this research that Justin's doing could become foundational for the rest of us as we would look to do. Maybe Karen and I work together to get a grant on developing some assistive technology tool. And if we have Justin's data to back that up, and that type of collaboration is really what we want to happen here. And Joe and I were discussing this of how to keep this an active dialogue amongst beekeeping associations or organizations related to people with disabilities and assistive technology, whether it's veterans or anyone else with a disability. And even the mental health aspect of it has come up 3 or 4 times, and it sounds like, Mattis, that's a real specific focus of your efforts already. So probably you have a lot of information that you could feed into and learn all together. But Joe and I would like to hear from everyone for a format, whether it's a forum going forward or a monthly Zoom chat like this, or what you think would be productive for us, a good use of our time to have this kind of collaboration. And maybe we do next month, we do a Zoom chat focused on mental health benefits or quality of life benefits of beekeeping for people with disabilities. And then we could do another one in the future on a specific type of, say, assistive technology for people with back injuries, and just sort of have more focused topical discussions. Another idea we had was an open forum. There's a lot of forums, like I do maple syrup, that's my thing. And there's this great website, mapletrader.com, that people are always just throwing ideas and questions and sharing with each other on maple syrup production ideas. And if there would be something like that available, I'm just bringing that up kind of as a seed for this discussion. What do you all think would be valuable for keeping us connected going forward?
One thing I want to say is I was actually talking to Joe about this right before we came to the meeting, and one of the things that I want to do is start a forum on my accessiblebeekeeping.org website so that people can come and do an open forum discussion on what their requests are. So if we can get people on there that are engineers, universities, and people can come in and say, have a section in there for requests, and they say, for example, Ned, you and Joe told me about someone who had Parkinson's that was having issues with shaking. And I've started talking to somebody who has connections at the University of Virginia, their fabrication lab. And I'm supposed to, once stuff with selling the house settles down, I'm supposed to go meet with somebody there to start designing and looking into building a frame holder that will actually act as a stabilizer as well. So I do want to, if you guys don't mind, take the initiative to set up the forum on my website that will, you know, drive traffic there. And then inside there, we can have, you know, veterans sections, and we can have general population sections. We can have requests. We can have a section for things that are already out there. Like I know Adam has really good videos. You and Adam, Ned, have really good videos of the equipment that's already available.
I'm good with that, Ned, if you are.
Yeah, we can definitely keep talking about that. I think having one forum that all of us can use together would be ideal. And so I appreciate that offer, Justin. We'll definitely, I got that here in my notes. Mattis, you had something you understand?
I just want to put out there, I think, you know, there's power in numbers. As this group grows, it shouldn't just be about conversation, but about action. And maybe those conversations should have an action point. For instance, if it's a mental health, what are we as a group going to do about mental health? If it's helping veterans in wheelchairs or missing an arm, better beekeep. So can we go out as a collective, find the right people, raise money together, and maybe invent tools, rearrange, you know, the beehive somehow to help veterans with, or not just veterans, but anyone who's disabled or handicapped deal with their handicap issue to be able to beekeep and get the benefits of beekeeping. So in other words, yeah, we should talk, which talk is great, but what is the actual outcome going to happen? Here we are, we have people from all over North America. We all have tools and tricks, and we know people. Let's use this power to actually make things happen, which I'm sure we're going to do. I'm not saying we won't, but let's use that to get things done to help others, which I think that's why we're here.
No, that's a super point. I appreciate that. Karen, did you have a comment as well?
Yeah, Matt, is it Mattis? Is that how you say your name? Yeah, you're a person after my own heart, because again, that is why Adam and I came to the table, because I'm like you, I'm action driven. I would rather see us do something instead of just coming together and chit-chatting. But don't get me wrong, chit-chatting is really fun, and chit-chatting is a really good idea, but that doesn't help our farmers. That doesn't help our veterans. It doesn't help the people that we're trying to serve, as you're saying. So we do need to be a little more action-minded, because there are lots of gaps out there. There are lots of voids that can be filled, and those voids could be filled by this group, by what Ned had already mentioned. So there's a couple other areas that we might want to think about, and I can't speak for other states, but Ned, in Missouri, ready? Beginner farmer women are very much into the bees. They're smaller, they're a little more manageable, they're not as expensive, and it's not scary. It's something that they can get involved with and get the feet wet, especially if you're, and now I'm talking about an individual with a disability. When you're talking about getting someone introduced into agriculture, this is a nice safe haven that you could start them in if it's applicable to them. And yes, there's lots of factors that you need to think about, but when you're talking about Voc Rehab and some of the other groups that we're working with, this is a great way of getting people involved in especially in agriculture with AgrAbility. The other piece, Ned, that we could just do beekeeping all day long, like Adam's doing. The big void in Missouri, and this is something that we might want to think about for those folks that have that background, that love and that knowledge, 4-H. 4-H has their own beekeeping program. So you could even do, if you're that kiddo realm and you're looking at AgrAbility and you're not just looking veterans, 4-H has their own little track there of what they do with beekeeping. And if you're going to then stay in alignment with that, then you can go to NRCS and FSA. those students get a $5,000 beginner loan. They get to do an NRCS and FSA project. And in Missouri, those projects have been beekeeping. And so that gives them an opportunity of where they're getting their first time funding in that funding stream from an agency where when they graduate from high school, disability or not, that they already have a foot in the door of understanding where are those potential funds coming from as they want to scale up their operation, which is what Adam is teaching. Adam is teaching veterans about how you become commercialized in beekeeping. Now, Missouri is not going to go that route. We're still going to do beekeeping as agriculture, but we're not looking right away to go into the commercialization because that's not where our state wants to be. And Adam's okay with that. And lots of folks want to do different things, but youth net is super prevalent in Missouri. Also the women, and then the accessible folks for disabled, and then our beginner farmer rancher socially disadvantaged, working with our 1890s. This is another niche that we can get involved with.
And I am really pleased with everyone on this call because like Mattis and Karen and Adam and Justin, Betty, I think all of you mentioned programs that you're already doing. You're moving, you're accomplishing things, and where can our activities benefit each other? So Adam just mentioned here in the chat that there is a quality of life study happening through Veterans Administration. And so, you know, what questions are they already asking so that Justin doesn't need to duplicate that, but maybe there's holes in the VA study that Justin can put into his survey, et cetera. And part of the reason I wanted to have this conversation also is in the last 6 months, I think I've talked to 4 or 5 organizations that are researching accessible beehives and doing very similar activities and really duplicating. And so if we can take our action points that we're engaged in and share together, hey, this is what I'm doing to make a beehive more accessible, and other people, and just so we're not duplicating, but really moving this concept of accessible beekeeping forward at a efficient pace, I think that'll be really valuable, and we can learn from each other. Adam, I just wanted to make sure you said VA, you're meaning the Veterans Administration, not Virginia.
Yeah, and I am the external national partner on that program, so I can talk to whatever questions there may be around the VA program. We're in our 2nd year of data collection. This is our first real hard year of really going after good quality of life data. We are working with researchers at the VA and at the Manchester VA to collect that data. And the goal of this whole project with the VA, it started from our connection from Heroes to Hives, but the VA is very interested in, and getting basically beekeeping as an evidence-based therapy so that they can offer it through their rec therapy departments. And that's who I'm working with, is the rec therapy department at the Manchester VA. We have a beekeeper who is also a rec therapist there, who is leading kind of at the national level for the VA. And we have, I think, 6 hospitals already lined up once this is established as evidence-based to kind of spread this around the United States for a service for veterans. Really, the goal of this is not to become a beekeeper. Like the Heroes to Hives program is to train you to become a beekeeper. That is not the goal of the VA program. The goal of the VA program is positive health outcome. And so we're looking at depression, anxiety, loneliness. What are the other factors that we're looking at? Suicide, I think, are the 4 main factors that we're looking at. And we're using nationally utilized psychological surveys through the American Psychological Association to actually do this work. So yeah, we have been doing a lot of really great work around this and seeing some really great outcomes. So yeah, that's a little bit about the VA program. But if you have any in-depth questions, I can definitely answer those about that program.
Hey, super. So we got about less than 10 minutes remaining. So just to get to that execution like Mattis mentioned. So I will have a distribution out list next week where we can start chatting via email and group email. And then we'll move on to what Justin offered in the form. Justin, do you think in the next 30 days, maybe we could have that form up?
Yeah, I should have it before then, but because we're moving, 30 days is a good cushion.
Okay, that's super. And then we are looking, Ned and I are thinking about an in-person meeting of some sort. Right now, we're looking at the Hive one in Tennessee, and I had it in front of me a minute ago. I can't think of the name of it.
Hive Life?
Yeah, that one. So we're looking at maybe doing that one. They offered us at least a little bit of space to the side, maybe not maybe not an open conference area, but if that becomes an opportunity, we'll send that. I think that's in the December, January timeframe, and a lot of people attend that one. I love the idea of leveraging the group. You know, if we come up with good ideas for adaptive technology, you know, then maybe we take Justin and his mom to Vegas and we try to leverage, you know, manufacturers that are out there for the big conference. Notice I mentioned your mom in there, Justin, for you.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, and her too. I'm sure.
I will be at the conference in January at Hive Life.
Hive Life's the one. Yep. Hive
Yeah,
Life.
so I will be there, and if we have an extra location that we can set up, that'd be great. If not, I'll have a table for accessible beekeeping, and on my table, I have no problem putting other programs and information from around the country so that people know that it's not just, you know, me by myself. There's a whole group of us that are fighting for the same thing.
Yeah, super. And then I'm gonna push it back to Ned, but before we go back to Ned, I just want to know what's the thought process or what's the ideas, everybody's availability and priorities. Do we do this once a month? Do we do this once every 2 weeks? What's kind of everybody's thought process on that? And you can throw your comments in the chat if you want, monthly or 2 weeks. And Ned, I know you wanted to talk about the next meeting and some adaptive technology discussion. If back to you.
It does not have to be an adaptive technology discussion, but it could be. But I came up with a really simple, low-cost accommodation that I wanted to show a picture of quick. There's the kind of idea. We took a broken snowblower that didn't throw snow anymore, but the drive wheels worked good, and we hitched it to a heavy-duty wagon, and it works really nice. That's 300 pounds of chicken feed in it there. I took it to a beekeeper. He's testing it this year for me. It was inspired by Adam Ingrao's power walk behind cart. And so that's the kind of thing. What can we learn from each other? And not reinvent the wheel, but, you know, what assistive technology are you seeing people use that we can share together and really make a difference for people on the ground? Realistically, anybody in the north, you can find broken snowblowers pretty quick and easy and hitch a nice wagon on it and have your own power cart. So let's plan on getting together again. And does anybody else know of an existing online forum for beekeepers where people are shooting out their questions and chatting with each other? And
Oh, Ned, there are thousands of them. I mean, in Missouri, I mean, anyone from the newbies to the advanced to veterans to women, certain types of bees. There are tons of them, Ned.
do we need to have our own forum, or do we just have an accessible beekeeping discussion going on in an existing forum that lots of people already know about that might draw people into the conversation that otherwise wouldn't know about us?
Well, Ned, I'm going to give you my 2 cents because you know I always do. Yes, I know in Missouri, because that's why you and I had this initial conversation. The accessible beekeeping is what people are wanting. They need the adapted and assisted devices. If you have limited strength and mobility, it's very, as you know, it's very problematic to lift the boxes. So those are, I get a lot of common questions on how do they then, either they want the automation, they want lifting devices, they don't want to necessarily do it by hand, they now want to move into the electric dollies and those kinds of principles, and those sorts of things. So those are the types of things that we're working, not with just our veterans, but anybody who's asking about accessible beekeeping program.
Yeah, and I understand that, Karen. I'm talking specifically about an online forum discussion around that topic, whether
Yes,
that should happen on a brand new forum just for that topic, or
I
if
think,
there,
I think that if you're going to get away from everyone else, absolutely. No, that was going to be my point. I'm sorry. That's what I would definitely do. I would make it accessible beekeeping, like we talked in
Okay.
Wisconsin. You betcha.
okay.
Ned,
We are-
Ned, I would just ask, do you think, to me, I'm not a huge forum guy, but Facebook seems to be my easiest way of doing it. I think it'd be easy to set up a Facebook page with hashtags and stuff where it would be open a little bit more resharing and all that other stuff. I don't know if anybody else has a thought on Facebook as the forum.
I think maybe this whole topic is its own discussion, and that we come together and say, what is the most practical, accessible way that people are going to chat together, and just throw out their beekeeping assistive technology questions and feel comfortable with that. Maybe we research that. We've got several topics. We've got the mental health, we've got the assistive technology, we've got the forum, we've got an in-person conference. I think we got a lot of things to talk about, and maybe Joe can send out a invitation, and we'll maybe next month set up another Zoom chat for the people on this group and welcome you to invite others affiliated, interested in this topic, and we'll have more conversation on how to keep moving this ahead.
Okay, no, I got it. I'll take the lead on it, and we'll send out a meeting reminder or meeting in about a month. It seems to be everybody's opportunity. And I think we have a little bit more time if anybody wants to stay online, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And if there's any last comments or anybody wants to stick around and go someplace specific, I think I'll stay on that. I don't know what your availability is, but I can stay on for a while as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have to jump out of here and move on to other things, but by all means, carry on the conversation, and I'll look forward to joining back in again next month.
Super. So thanks everybody for being a part of the discussion, and we'll re-energize it, or we'll talk again next month, and I'll talk over a few agenda items for that.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
That went well, Joe.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Mattis, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Nice talking to you. Thanks for sending me an email. Yeah, I'm not sure how I got on this email list, but it was I'm like, why not? You know.
I Googled just a lot of beekeeping stuff out there, and your organization came up.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, well, amazing. Yeah, great group of people here.
Do you have any videos or anything we can watch? Do I YouTube your name or Beekeeping for Veterans, and I can?
We're developing it. We're developing it. So, I mean, I developed this organization here in Canada. I did a program at a drug rehabilitation center here in Toronto. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who were there were veterans, ex-veterans, and ex-military veterans, and they turned to drugs because they had a hard time dealing with the PTSD. And we just got amazing results. People come beekeep, and veterans who are, you know, they said for the first time, I had a veteran tell me for the first time since the war, he could just hear his thoughts, and he was just calmed by the bees. And after he left, he wanted to continue to beekeep. Actually, a lot of veterans want to do that. So that's why I started Googling. I mean, I heard of Hives for Heroes in the States, and there's a few others out there. And I was shocked that there's nothing in Canada. So I figured, I have some business background. Let me see if I could put this together. And I realized that, beekeeping, at least for me when I beekeep, you get this great feeling, you get this rush of adrenaline, you have to be calm, and that's a great feeling. But once you leave beekeeping, it kind of goes away after a few hours, so to speak. So to really help rehabilitate people, I figured it has to be more, and that's why I added that mindfulness component. And we actually tried this at the Drug Rehabilitation Center, and it was tremendous. So we have, like, in our program, we have life lessons from the Hive, and we have other, just like I said, a weekly video that goes out. So we're developing these right now, actually. So the point that I was going to say, we're actually developing it. I just received my non-for-profit status about 3 weeks ago in the States, the 501c3. And in Canada, it took over about a year and a half. So now I'm actually fundraising, corporate fundraisers, things like this to get sponsorship. And so we'll be putting out hopefully some really good videos in the next week or two, or a few months, I'd say. But I do have one fundraising video out there. I'll send it to you because I'm going to be doing hopefully a very big fundraising campaign, online fundraising campaign. So I produced that. I can send it to you, a link. Tell me what you think. But like every good 501c3 and non-for-profit, you need money. You got to get out there and, but we've had some great success with a few of the veterans we've worked with.
That's outstanding. Yeah, my nonprofit side, the big thing is grants. I drive at credit.
Yeah.
Grants and state grants seem to be the easier end to get than a USDA grant. So if I
Right.
can help you that way, let me know.
I would take it. Any help we could get, I could take it. But I get veterans reaching out on a weekly basis from all over America and Canada that are interested. And I'm just trying to find that sweet spot with pricing right now, what works. I have some veterans who have some land who are going to open it up to say, listen, we'll put a few beehives here, and whoever's in my area could come. I'll give my program for free. This is not where I'm making my bread and butter here. So I'm a civilian. I never had the chance to be in the military. I wanted to be in the military as a chaplain, but back 20 years ago, they wouldn't let people in with beards. So wasn't going to shave my beard, but now they do. But I always had this tremendous place in my heart to veterans and people who go serve to protect our freedoms. So for me, it's an honor, and it's giving back to the veterans.
Nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, it's a great group, very amazing group. Looking forward to getting to know people.
Yep, so am I. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I got to run, gentlemen. Next month, Justin, I'm going to check out your podcast. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey Ed, I'm gonna sign out. Justin, did you need me or you want to call?
I'm sorry?
Did you need me? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I was just gonna say thank you for putting this all together and